I think it's like 4 p.m. and I've spent the entire day doing absolutely nothing but trying to think of a video idea, something fun and creative and different and upbeat and positive that you guys can enjoy and be excited about seeing in your subscription boxes. Like, I always try and think from your point of view, what would people want to see to make them feel better? Maybe they're having a bad day and they want to watch something that would cheer them up, because that's usually what I like doing on my channel. But I also like sharing thoughts and opinions and how I stand in certain topics, situations, my outlook on things and all that kind of stuff. I know the last time I did like a opening up kind of video, you guys loved it and you didn't stop talking about it for months and months afterwards. I appreciated that so much, because things like that are so difficult for me to do, which is what this video is actually mainly about. Today I'm not sad, like I'm fine, I'm happy and stuff. I don't want people worrying about me, because I know you guys will. This isn't something that's just kind of come out of nowhere and suddenly taken over my mind, because this is something that I've had to deal with for my whole life, and since I remember I've felt this way about myself, and that's why I want to stress that this isn't something which I'm suddenly dealing with. It is something that I feel like I am learning how to cope with though. So for starters, this is really difficult for me to talk about. I don't talk in general quite a bit to people at all, barely. If you're watching this video and you happen to know me in person and I've opened up to you before, then gold star, because that's a rarity. The reason why I don't is because I think one of my genuine biggest fears is to feel vulnerable and vulnerability. It scares me. I don't like it at all. The minute I might start opening up to someone, I'm already thinking of scenarios that could happen in the future which this person who I'm opening up to can use this information that I'm telling them against me. I have a huge thing about being so paranoid. Everyone's out to get me and everyone's there to judge and look at me and stare at me, which is weird because you think, so why are you putting yourself on camera and filming your life and putting it all online? It's two very different things, because this kind of stuff is controlled stuff. I'm putting out what I want to put out and I'm editing it in certain ways, and I'm sitting in front of a camera and choosing what to say and choosing how I want to look, and it's all under my control. Whereas things like in day-to-day situations isn't. It can't always be. As much as I'm kind of a control freak in my own little way, I can't do everything the way I want to. As well as that, I've just been a generally quite closed and private person anyway. Since I was little, I used to make up excuses to my friends about why I couldn't go see them, or I couldn't go to their house, or I didn't want to see them after school. And I would usually, bless my mum, put the blame on her and say, my mum says no. Well, you know when you're a little kid and your parents would always say no when you really wanted to do something. So I would just say, I can't, my parents said no. And that used to really upset my mum because it made her look like a bad person. I shouldn't have done that, but I just didn't have the guts to say to them, I just don't want to see you. Or I've had a long day at school, social interaction is really difficult and like just energy zapping as it is. I can't face like going to see you after school as well. That was how I felt. Or I would much prefer if they had offered me to come see them with another friend, or I'd rather have 2 friends over instead of 1, because then that took a lot of the socializing reliability off me, because I wasn't the only one having to keep this person entertained and having to talk to this person. As a kid, I thought that was completely normal. I knew that I wasn't too normal because none of my friends were like that, but I just thought, it's me. I prefer staying at home and playing on the PlayStation or a PC game, going on the internet and chatting to people like strangers and people I had no intention of meeting, or just online games for like 6, 7, 8 hours straight, because why not? It was fun, it kept me entertained, and it was a lot more comfortable to me to do that. When I was really young, I would prefer hanging out with my completely made up imaginary friends than an actual person. And I felt back in the day that that was because I didn't know anyone that I liked enough, or I would invent this like person that I felt was really cool and had cool interests, and we did everything the same and we were acting really similar and we were great and grand and cute and we were best friends. There may have even been a boyfriend or 2 that I made up. The point is, I used to make these people up because I was just so convinced that one day I would have a friend who's just like that person and I would be comfortable around them and it would be fun and lovely. But in reality, it wasn't really about the fact that I didn't have somebody who I thought was cool enough to want to hang around with. It was the fact that I knew I didn't feel myself around people. So I would make up somebody as if they were a friend and I could be me around them. Things changed. I got a lot more sociable. I could talk more and I enjoyed people a lot more, and I understood what friendships were a little bit more, and I understood that and all this. But even though that's changed and I've developed a lot as a person, I still have part of that in me. There's still part of me that loves to be private. Social interaction is sometimes the last thing I want to do, and even though I love every friend I have to absolute pieces and I appreciate them so much, sometimes it is very hard to tell somebody that you don't want to see them, because you just can't, you just don't feel it, you're not feeling it right now. And that can sometimes make people feel like you're using them, because they feel as if you only want to see them when it suits you. And as horrible as that sounds, half the time it is actually true, because what else can you really do? If it suits you and you want to see them, that is the best time to see them. Otherwise, if they try and arrange something and you end up not wanting to or being able to, you're never going to see each other. And that's caused a lot of problems with me in the past. Tons of people I have opened up to in the past, and I have gotten close to, and I have shown my true colours to, and I have been my absolute self to. It does happen. Like, I'm talking to you guys as if I don't open up to anyone and I don't have anyone that knows who I really am. That's not true. I do. But I've just been very unlucky with those people. Those people eventually drove away, and they eventually turned around and said, I don't like this person that you are. Or they'd say that I've changed, or I'm not nice, or I'm horrible, I've said horrible things, I've done horrible things. They've said that I don't make efforts, I don't try hard enough, I don't show that I care. Although I'm completely happy with them being able to tell me that, and being able to just tell me as it is, just be black and white and say, you pissed me off. I appreciate somebody doing that, but I know that kind of just like adds to that part of my brain that knows that people think that eventually anyway. So it just reminds me why I do compress myself quite a bit, and why I do keep myself to myself quite a lot, because I don't want more and more people thinking that. I'm gonna stop crying because that's a stupid thing to do. Let's not cry now. So I think I'm always going to have that fear that eventually people will start thinking that, and I guess that's okay. I mean, I'm always going to want to be me and true to myself, and if people aren't going to like that along the way, that is absolutely fine, and it's going to suck, but I'd rather them leave than stay around and be friends with somebody they don't actually like. I don't want this video to be like a big moan and a cry for help or something, but what I do want to make this video for is for people who feel the same as me. I've never met someone who does feel this way, and whether you guys think you might feel the same way or you're similar in some sort, I want to tell you that I understand and get where you're coming from. And oh my gosh guys, doesn't it suck? But the main reason I want to make this is for the people who are dealing with somebody like me, or maybe those who are watching this who are actually dealing with me. I want them, you slash them slash whoever, to understand that feeling socially anxious, or just being anxious in general, can be so exhausting. Like, waking up and having to do things which a normal person could do absolutely fine is not the case for everybody. Going to meet somebody for coffee in a coffee shop is cool and fun and sounds lovely, right? Yeah, it is. But to somebody who also has to just kind of put a little bit more effort into doing that, it is something they will think about for a week, because they remember how much effort they put into that social gathering. Like, when you're thinking about what to order and whether you want tea or coffee, they're thinking about how they say it to the person who is serving them. They're thinking about whether they have the exact amount of change in their purse, because otherwise that would be really embarrassing. They're thinking about how their hair looks because they didn't walk past a mirror on the way in and they think there might be something funny on their face. They're thinking about whether somebody who's serving them might be somebody they know and it may be embarrassing for them to have to do small talk. They're thinking about what they're going to say to you once you eventually sit down and drink coffee, because you've got a lot to catch up on and they don't want to make a twat of themselves and say stupid things and ask stupid questions they should know the answer for. The fact they realised when they woke up this morning they didn't look too good, and in fact they would much rather meet up somewhere that didn't have such strong bright lighting. This is going to sound so stupid to most of you, and you're going to think no person would sit and obsess about how they look when they're talking and eating at the same time, etc, etc. But I can speak for so many people, it is the case, and it does make the way they live their life slightly strange, and it may seem unusual to you, and it may make you feel like you're not really getting the most out of your best friend. But I want you to give these sorts of people a chance, because they really, really would appreciate it more than you actually realise, I think. I'm speaking for myself though, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I treat the people that see and notice the way I am and the things that I am, but deal with it because that is the way I am. I treat them like gold dust, because it's rare to find that, and it's rare to find somebody who gets you and understands you and doesn't actually care or mind, or does care but is willing to learn how to cope. I think most people seem to think the obvious things about the way somebody might think and feel and then just kind of forget about it. So maybe if you go to a concert or a gig and you're with somebody who might feel a little bit uncomfortable in the situation, it's nice that you're there to help them, and you're saying, it's okay, like, we're gonna go here together, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be cool, and you're there for their like support, and that's great. Like, you're an amazing person, thank you if you've ever done that for somebody. Remember, maybe the next day, if that person then has to do something quite small but still involving stuff that they're not comfortable doing, how do I explain it? They might have to do something which isn't as obviously scary. You just presume that yesterday was the bad day. You're going to think that today they're a new person and they're all great. But that's not really it. It's like having a constant cloud above your head that is reminding this person these different stupid things they shouldn't need to be thinking about. They're going to be thinking about them all the time, and it can affect stupid things, and it can start arguments between people and bickers and relationship problems. Like, somebody might understand why their partner is this way or that way and just does things a little bit strange, and you don't always know what is going on in someone's brain. Think about that a little more, and don't just assume that everybody's out there to be an asshole. I don't know, this is just a thinking video. Thinking out loud. Thoughts are happening right now out in the open, which is rare for me, but I can do that with you guys. I feel like I'd like to know your own opinions on it. I'd like to know where you guys stand in a similar sort of way, even if it's completely different to the way I've explained it. I'd like to know how other people cope and how they feel things are easier than others, and I'd like to talk about this, and maybe we can do some just normal stuff like this a bit more. Thanks for watching, guys. I post a lot of stuff like this on my social media, so join me on them. They're all in the description box down there, or subscribe to my channel and you can be notified every time I make a new video like this. I try to keep this quite upbeat and like positive, but I don't think that really happened because I started crying.